Welcome to today's Tea Time Chat. My name is Candace and I'm the assistant editor at Lee & Low Books. I'm so excited to be here this afternoon with you all and with the wonderful Kelly J. Baptist, who is the author of our forthcoming picture book, The Electric Slide and Kai. Please say hi to the viewers, Kelly, and tell them a little about yourself.
All right. Hello, everyone, and hi to you, Candace. I'm very glad to be here with you as well. As she said, I am Kelly J. Baptist. I live in Southwest Michigan, and apart from being an author, which is really a dream come true, I am a mom to 5 amazing kids who keep me super busy, and I work as a social emotional learning interventionist at a middle school. Shout out to the Arts and Communications Academy. ACA leads the way. So all of those tasks keep me going, give me lots of good ideas for writing, for sure.
Wonderful. Wow, 5 kids in the middle of all of this.
Yeah.
That must be never a dull moment.
Never at all. I hope no one busts in right now.
No problem. We'll keep it moving. If they do, they can join right in.
They come on in. That's right.
That's great. Well, since it's a forthcoming title, can you give the people tuning in today a little bit of a gist, or like a short summary of what The Electric Slide and Kai is about?
Sure. So The Electric Slide and Kai is about a young boy who is trying to learn the electric slide before his aunt's wedding. He is worried that he won't learn it in time because he comes from a family of dancers, but he really doesn't get his moves right, and he usually misses steps or knocks somebody over, so he's really concerned about learning this dance. His family are all good at dancing, even so much so that the grandfather gives dancing nicknames to everyone. So Kai does not have a nickname, and he is trying to earn one by showing what he has on the floor.
Oh, that was perfect. I'm going to use all that for my jacket copy for this
there you go.
later. Thank you so much for writing it for me. Yeah, and we'd love to share with you all today a quick preview of the book, which is going to be first the final sketch of an interior piece, and then it rendered as final art. So bear with me as I share screen. Here is the sketch of the book, and you can see Kai. You can see Kai's family. Oh, sorry. Here you go. Press share.
I was gonna say, I don't see it. Maybe they do.
Now you can. I'm sorry. Zoom is a lot. So here is the sketch, and you can see Kai over here, and there's Kai's immediate family, his parents, and his siblings. Some music notes floating above them. He's looking a little unsure. And now we can share the final art right here.
Woo! I love that.
It's one of my favorite pieces in the book.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
That. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's
shout out to Darnell Johnson.
Yes, the illustrator Darnell Johnson. It's his debut picture book. We're so he's perfect. We're so glad to have him on this project working with us. He's been working really diligently on this art, and he's just the best fit. Couldn't have asked for a better illustrator to work with. And I just love how this book celebrates a diverse family. Yeah, so I'm going to stop share now. Great. And yeah, I would love it, Kelly, if you could talk a little bit about your source of inspiration for this story.
Well, that is pretty easy. My middle child and middle daughter, she's both, inspired this story, and her name is Micaiah, so that's where the Kai came from, because that's what we call her for short. And when she was about, say probably 4 or 5, we went to my cousin's wedding, and we're at the reception, and he married an AKA, a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And so, as tradition has at wedding receptions, his new bride, got on the dance floor with her sisters, and they began to stroll. And so my little Kai was off to the side trying to mimic their every move. So she's doing the mirror, and she's doing their movements, and she was just very intensely watching them, trying to get the steps right. And so that kind of sparked the idea for me. And then I just naturally came to a traditional dance at wedding receptions, which is the electric slide. Mm-hmm. It goes perfectly with her name in terms of saying it, the scheme of that. And so that's kind of how the story came about, her trying to copy the moves and get it right. And I have video footage of that somewhere. I got to find it. But someone was like, oh, you got a future AKA on your hands. It was a really cute moment. And so she inspired the story.
That's beautiful. And I think that really comes through in the way that you've written the story. It's just this really big, I guess, kind of like loud, like family. And, you know, when you're a middle kid, you might get lost in the shuffle a little bit because, you know, pun intended. And you want to find your footing. You want to, you know, make your own statement, especially when it feels like everyone else in your family can do something or is good at something that you're not. So I think that that's a really beautiful kernel of inspiration. And it definitely comes through in the manuscript, which I hope that you'll talk a bit about your path to publication, because I mean, I read it through our New Voices Award contest in 2017. So talk a bit more about like your, I guess, submission process or just the writing of it, because I know you have a middle grade background, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So just focus on the path to publication for this book, please.
Okay, sure. I'm trying to think when I first found out about the Lee and Low New Voices contest. It was probably 2008, 2009. And then I just entered every single year. It was a tradition. May through September, I would get a piece together to submit. And so obviously those were a lot of years of, no, this is not the right fit, rejection, rejection, rejection. But just because I was in the habit of preparing something and submitting, that's kind of how this came about. And I was working right here in this little writing space that I have. I think the day before the postmark deadline, it's because I have a crazy life. And so I'm finishing up the story, trying to get it perfect and put it in the mail the next day. So that's kind of been my path for this book. And ironically, it was my path for my middle grade too. So contest wins have really worked out for me. Same thing with my middle grade. I entered a contest and the short story was selected as a winner. And so that's how I got into flying lessons. And then the forthcoming middle grade right there, Isaiah Dunn is my hero. So that's kind of how that came about. I wanted to talk about, can I talk about that? The change of Kai?
Oh yeah, that's
okay. Because that was a part of the process that was different. As I shared from the story, I originally wrote it with Kai being a girl because my daughter is obviously a girl. And so getting notes back from you, I remember you're like, well, would you consider making the main character a boy? Yeah. And I thought that was interesting because most of the work that I produce has a boy main character. Like when I finally write a girl, you guys asked me to write a boy. Okay, so that's fine. And so the C turned to a K when Kai became a boy. So that was an interesting part of the revision process.
Oh, no, I'm glad that you brought that up. It was a while ago. So
it took me a while to get used to it, actually. Because I still had in my mind, this is a girl and I got to switch being a boy. So
no, us too. It was some feedback I got from my editorial team, and because we were just looking at our list, and even regardless of our list, there aren't a lot of books that kind of showcase and nurture young Black boys who trying to do something that like dancing, which is considered to be considered feminine, even if it is a line dance, and just the support that Kai gets from his or her family was really beautiful. And we thought that the moment with I don't want to ruin anything, but the moment at the end of the book when the very important person talks to Kai and bestows confidence and wisdom would be a bit more profound if the main character was a boy, and just do something a little different instead of showing a young girl struggling to dance, showing a young Black boy doing it, and kind of feeds into that Black boy joy also, and contributes to that canon, which we always want to do. So yeah, it was a decision made early on, but I'm glad that we did it, and I think the art speaks for itself. He's adorable. I also love protagonists in glasses as a kid who wore glasses.
Wonder why?
Yes, so that wasn't even something I had to throw in there. The illustrator just made that happen. I said, yes, give me the nerdy boys. So it's been really beautiful. And I also want to mention that I'm so glad that you were diligent in your efforts in applying every year to Lee and Low's contests, and that you did win the honor in 2017, and that's why we get to work on this project. And I also wanted to let people know at home that our New Voices Award for picture books is open now. So we're accepting submissions for the 2020 season from now until the end of August, as well as our New Visions Award, which is for middle grade and YA novels and graphic novels. So if anyone's interested in learning more about that, please go to leanlow.com.
Don't be afraid to enter.
Yeah, don't
Don't
be
be afraid to
of
enter.
rejection.
Put yourself out there sometimes. Yep.
Yes, you have to collect those rejections. I think it's just part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know a bit more about how working on a picture book is different from working on the novels and like the short stories, the longer works that you've worked on previously. Like I know you mentioned Isaiah Dunn, which is coming out later this year. So how was that writing process similar to and different from working on the picture book?
I would say the biggest difference was probably the anticipation of wanting to see the art. When you're working on a novel, your words are going to be your words. And yes, you might tweak things or change things. And the edits are definitely larger, pages and pages of edits to work through. But you know what your words are. And so you know the parameters in which you're working. With a picture book, I would say that the writing of it, I knew what my words were, but after knowing it was going to be published, it was this anticipation. Well, how is a complete stranger going to capture the vision that I have in form? And so wanting to see that or wondering about that, I think that's probably the biggest difference. And obviously length, picture book has to be very tight. And the illustrations are going to say a lot too. So it's tight and you cut it even tighter a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Whereas a novel, you have more room to kind of let your thoughts and your words flow and describe what the reader can't see. So those would be the biggest differences, I would say. Picture book takes longer too, I believe.
They can, absolutely.
But it's worth it. See, it's worth it. Yeah.
No, it's going to be really beautiful. And I know you haven't seen a lot of the art, but I hope that Darnell's also bringing his vision to it, and I just think there'll be a really strong overlap, and you guys, like your words just kind of elevate the art, which elevates, the story, and it's all for the sake of creating a really strong, cohesive narrative, which is part of the reason why it takes so long also to make a picture book. I wanted to know a bit more about your, I guess, the rejection that you got from submitting to contest after contest. Like what inspiration or suggestions do you have for writers and creators who are in that same boat, who are maybe in the trenches and trying to get their work out there, and they keep, getting, I guess, doors slammed in their face? Like what kept you going and what helped strengthen your persistence?
I think when you're passionate about something, the rejection is a rejection, but it's really not. It's just another obstacle to overcome, and it's something that you can gain from to get better. I think my first or second rejection, I actually got an editorial letter with some notes and things of the work. So I took that into consideration. Always reading, always, I like to attend conferences and things like that. Anything that I can use to grow or gain experience in terms of writing, I would take advantage of that. And like I said, it kind of got to be routine so that my expectations weren't very high, if that makes sense. It's May, and so I enter Lee and Low. Mm-hmm. And I got to that point. And each year, I think that my storytelling elevated just because of the work that I put in, to where this story is definitely a much stronger story than the very first story I submitted. So advice to people is to use that as fuel to keep going, because it's already a no if you don't submit it. Mm-hmm. Might as well submit it. If you get a no, well, that's what it was already. And if you get a yes, then you've achieved one part of your goal in your writing journey. So use it and grow and enter everything that you can. That's what I say. Anything that I was qualified for or eligible for, I went ahead and entered it. So it's paid off.
Yes, absolutely, it has paid off. And I wanted to say too how that's great advice for people at home who are considering becoming writers or just in any creative pursuit, and a good look at for people who are not in that boat at the process and the diligence that it takes to be a writer and be a creator in children's book world. when we first read the manuscript, when it came in through the contest for the Electric Slide and Kai, I could definitely tell that you had that middle grade background because I guess like descriptions were a bit more vivid. There was a lot more details in the text, and it read like you were trying to paint the room, paint the scene for the reader, which I think created a really rich reading experience of a manuscript. But like you said, we did have to cut that down because now you've got art on the page, and that's going to help you do some of that heavy lifting that the words don't have to do. So you don't have to describe so much what the dinner scene looks like, because we're going to make that an art note. And then the illustrator Darnell was able to, create visuals for that. So appreciate your, the give and take, and you being open to those critiques and to those cuts. Had nothing to do with the quality of your word. It was really just quantity. And we've got this whole other element that's going to cover what you're trying to cover. So that was pretty cool. I wanted to know, did you do any dancing of the Electric Slide as you were working on it? I know I did. I definitely did some Googling. I definitely watched the scene from The Best Man at the end.
Yes, we did.
Yes, and trying to get the steps together and make sure that we're describing it, accurately.
For sure. Yeah, there was definitely some beneficial research that went into getting the steps right. It was funny when you emailed me the clip. That's what I had been watching too. So I was like, oh, we're on the same page with this. That scene from The Best Man at that wedding reception. I would Google some tutorial videos as well. And at one point I grabbed my oldest. I was like, look, this book is coming out. You have to learn, you have to know how to do that electric slide. My kids have to know how to do this. So I set up the video. I was like, we're going to do it together. Okay, so pay attention and let's go. And so she learned it. And now she'll grab me for a song. She's like, oh, we can do it to this one. Or we can do it to this one. And we'll be in the kitchen just electric sliding. So that's been really fun as we incorporate.
The line dances are a lot of fun because they're usually the steps themselves are not too much, and they're clearly still very popular with like Cha-Cha Slide and everything. And it kind of gets everyone up, because no matter if you're a great dancer or maybe not so great a dancer, it's just like mob mentality. It's fine. And you just follow along. And if you spin the wrong way, it's okay. Just keep it moving, kind of like, Kai realizes in the story. And I think it's super important, or it's great when I, as an editor, can share a common language with the writer and illustrator that I'm talking to or working with on a project, because then we're kind of drawing from the same material. And we have, like I said, this common language that we can both speak. Oh, you've seen this video, or I can reference something, and you know where I'm coming from and are on the same page. And I usually share that with my art director, so she and I could be on the same page. So even if there aren't words to particularly express what we're going for, at least there's that feeling. And I think that's crucial to just the communication between writer, editor, illustrator, art director, especially when you're not all in the same space. But all working towards one vision. It's all about that vision. So like I said, common language is really, really important to have.
Yeah, it's been a blessing to be able to experience that with you, because we connected right away, and we knew where each other was coming from. I think that helped the process.
For sure. Yeah, I 100% agree. We're going to dip over and see if there are any questions from the audience.
All right, and since it's tea time, I did.
Oh yes, with the mug. Blessed indeed.
Yeah, blessed indeed, indeed.
Seems we answered the question for the audience. Well, if anyone out there has another question for myself or Kelly, happy to answer them. Oh, I'm gonna dip over to Q&A. Someone asked how do you feel about writing books? I guess, what do you gain the most from it? What do you enjoy? I guess what has been the most satisfying about writing in your, because you have middle grade and you've got this picture book coming out. So I guess you could speak to maybe Isaiah Dunn, since that's almost done or near done and about to come out, what that has been and what you're looking forward to most about the Electric Slide and Kai. So two-part question.
Sure. What brings me joy? I think I can do whatever I want in writing. And what I mean by that is, if I don't or didn't have a particular experience, I can still have that, because I can do that vicariously through a character. And I think one reason I write boys a lot is growing up, I wanted brothers. I love my sisters. Sisters, you're probably watching. I love you guys very much. You know, but I always wished that I had brothers. I was into sports and, you know, and I wanted to have brothers. So when I was younger, that's kind of what I would write. It'd be like 12 boys in the family. And so I was able to kind of get that longing out through writing. I longed to travel, and we did a couple family vacations, but I would write about that a lot. A family going somewhere exotic and whatever happens along the way. Just living in a big city, I might write about that just because I don't. And so I think the freedom to experience other things is cool. And then to speak about things that are important to me has been strong as well. So with Isaiah, it's, we delve into the issue of homelessness in children. And I call him my hero. Isaiah Dunn is my hero because there are so many kids out there who have to go to school carrying so much at a young age. And how do you process that at 10, 11, 12, 9, when adults would struggle to process? And so the fact that they're able to do that makes them heroes to me. And I wanted to highlight that so that as they read, hopefully they'll begin to see themselves as heroes as well and people of value, which is what they are. And so I'm excited for that to come out. And for Kai, definitely more universal and a lot lighter in terms of every kid has to try something difficult at some point. You know, you're riding a bike, you're tying your shoes, you're learning sight words. So each child has to go through that process. And Kai, in essence, is just another kid learning something hard. And family is always a strong theme for me. I love writing about families because I think that is so critical and important to our future. So that's been another thing I'm excited about to show. A well-knit, strong, supportive Black family in Kai. Excited to see that.
Yeah, no, this family is beautiful. I mean,
yeah,
I
love it.
share the interior art with you, and so you can see even like after the aunt gets married and how they become a blended family. Right. It's not something that you often see in picture books, so we really wanted to celebrate and highlight that in this picture book. So you know, hope people will look out for it because it's really lovely. Someone wants to know what keeps you motivated during your writing process, or like what is your writing process?
I don't really have a process. That goes back to the five children there. I write when I can, and I write when I can. I'm literally in my closet right now, so that's my writing space. Find me wherever I go, and so I have learned to write in chaotic situations. I've adapted to the point where I can do that because it's what I have to do. I was on a bus with my students. And I just took out my notebook. We were going on a field trip and I started writing like, how are you able to write? You're on the bus. And this is just my life. This is how I have to do it. So in the morning, before they wake up is a prime time. In the car before I come into the house, just any little sliver of moment that I can grab is what I grab. And in terms of motivation, it's right here. It's right here on the shirt. I can't end the chat without saying something about that. I take Mamba mentality very seriously and try to apply it to writing. And so Kobe has been a huge inspiration in terms of if he wasn't just good, he put in the work to be good. And so what can I do in my craft, in my field, to have the same results is to put in the work. And so that's something that keeps me motivated. There's been so many times where, I'll write tomorrow. I really don't feel like it. And then I remember, well, Kobe would be practicing right now. So should probably be writing. And that lends me to do that.
That's beautiful. I think you have to, I guess, as a writer, any writer has to kind of build a list of what motivates them personally and post that somewhere so that they can, you know, a source that they can look at over and over again, because this is the hard work. It's not I've got this brilliant idea and I'm good at this craft already, although some people are, but often it's because they worked hard at it. And the diligence is really important. I think that also, even when you get your manuscript acquired, you still need to call on that work ethic to continue developing your work.
That is so true.
Work with your editor. Yeah, absolutely. And I do too. I have to look at it and make sure that I'm on the same page as like you and trying to bring this story into the strongest version of it possible. And there's a lot of people that go into a book, but it starts with that really strong foundation of the story. I'm going to take another question. Bear with me as I skim through. Oh, someone wants to know, how did we approach the editing process and word count? Happy to talk about that. Like I kind of mentioned before, Kelly's story was beautiful, but came in kind of longer than most picture books. And I believe that that was part of her like middle grade writing background. So there were definitely some rich details in the text that were great for the reading experience, but it'd be not so great for a picture book just because it'd be so much text competing with the art, and the art needs space on the page. So we did some what I would call pruning. Basically, you know, we cut down some, and we could condense some dialogue. Instead of having 6 exchanges, maybe we get it down to 2 or 3, make it clear who is speaking on the page to just have those characters. Maybe if, you know, maybe mom and dad don't need to say this thing, maybe just dad can say this thing. So I think we did a lot of pruning of the dialogue, and then later in the book, details about the story. You know, what they were wearing or what's going on. It's like, it's okay, we don't need those details because we're going to pick this one image or these few spot arts to show that this, the major action on the page. And since it's going to show that major action, we don't also need to have it in the text because it's kind of redundant. So although the illustration, of course, is inspired by the text doesn't need to keep that idea in there the whole time because the art is now present.
And I enjoyed that. It was like an education for me to do it this way. And it wasn't painful at all. Isaiah was brutal. Just the rounds and just the length of it.
Yeah.
I don't even like the story anymore. I would be like, I am tired of this story, but I didn't get tired of Kai with that process. And it was, like you said, an education to be able to sense what the differences are and what I don't have to do with picture books in terms of describing and all the extra detail. Was good to learn that.
Well, good. I hope that you'll write more picture books.
I was going to say for the next one, Kandace.
Yes. Because I think, like I said, this manuscript came into the contest pretty strong. And now that you've got this experience, I'm sure your next, you know, picture book manuscript will be even stronger. We're kind of closing in on our time now with Kelly. So I just wanted to thank you all for tuning in. And thank you, Kelly, for making the time to speak with me. And, you know,
it's been a pleasure.
Everyone else. Oh, good. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us, and that our next Tea Time Talk will have author Christy Hale in conversation with our editor-at-large, Louise May, about Christy's book, Todos Iguales, All Equal. And that's going to be on Friday, May 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern. So take care, everyone. And thank you again for joining us today. Take care, Kelly.
You too.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Step in.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it.
Yes. And look out for the electric slide in Kai in 2021. Next year. Okay. Take care.
All right. Stay safe.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye.